Hi again. Okay, so this is topic 4, and we're going to learn all about other public blockchains, in particular Ethereum. And the title of the lecture is actually Web 3.0, because that's how the web is evolving now, with blockchain power, mainly from Ethereum or EOS or Tron, or these more sophisticated public blockchains. So here we are, topic 3, Web 3.0. And there's going to be 5 quite short videos. The first one is just about the evolution of the internet, and then a lot about Ethereum, other public blockchains, introduction to smart contracts, and dApps, distributed apps. Okay, so here's a picture of Bletchley Park. During the war, there was a computer called Colossus for the code breakers in Bletchley Park during World War II, operated by a lot of women, because the men were fighting. Not all of them. Okay, so I remember a time when I first started computing at school. I had to use punch cards, and my program was a big tray of these cards. So we've moved a lot since then. And then my very first computer had a screen like this, personal computer that is, because these punch cards went into something called a mainframe, maybe a little bit smaller than Colossus, but still, you know, a shared computer. So this was around the 1970s. In fact, I think it was 1977. In 1989, that's when the World Wide Web was introduced by another British scientist called Tim Berners-Lee. Yeah, these computers, I think my first IBM XT cost £5,000, and that was in 1985. Anyway, soon we had ISP, HTTP, HTML, and object-oriented programming. So all these things were developed in Web 1.0, but it was the readable, not the writable web. In fact, I started working for a software company, risk management software company called Algorithmics, and they asked me to set up something on Web 1.0, which was an internet journal. You know, like an academic journal, but it was just based on the internet, so people could read it. But we had to upload it from a server that was shared with lots of people. But they didn't continue funding it because they couldn't work out how, in those days, how was anybody ever going to make any money from the internet, was what the board said. How wrong were they? Okay, so the writable web, Web 2.0, came with smartphones, hotspots, satellite broadband more recently, and all these social networking sites like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, all these wikis. Wiki means fast in Hawaiian. So, I mean, now if I need to know anything, I go to Google, I go on the internet, I search Wikipedias and so forth. So communication tools are enhancing this, because you've got email, blogs, YouTube, pick up my phone and I'm getting all these RSS news feeds from the BBC, knowing what's happening real time around the world. And then the other thing that is a development of Web 2.0 are these hashtags, or other folksomies. How do you pronounce that? Folksonomies. So that's tagging online for collective intelligence. I use something called Pocket. So if I find some really interesting things about blockchains, then I might save them to a pocket that is labeled blockchains. Okay. But the economic consequences of Web 2.0 have been very severe. FAMGA, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, these companies are becoming more powerful than governments. So the future of the world, as we know it, is threatened. And they extract profits from traditional professions, musicians, authors. You can't sell a garden shed without being exploited by Amazon. And Facebook controls your data. It gives it free. Remember Cambridge Analytica. You are happy to let your data be shared. You say, accept cookies, yes, accept cookies, yes, yes, yes. And so the trouble is that there are cyber attacks and your data isn't safe. And also these companies block competition, as I said many times before. And they're not increasing welfare. What they want is to extract data and profit from your data. So the idea of Web 3.0 is to disrupt their business models. So Web 3.0 is the executable web and the Internet of Things. So computers use artificial intelligence to understand information. Information is secured using public blockchains and executed using smart contracts. The interfaces are not apps, but distributed apps that live on a blockchain and are therefore secure, because you can't change anything on a blockchain, as we know from the previous lecture. As things evolve, I just say, Alexa, what's up? Verbal requests. Soon I'll be able to tell my fridge what shopping I want, and it'll just appear on the doorstep. There's 3D graphics, 3D sound, and files are massive now because everything's got so much data. So we need something called the Interplanetary Filing System, Iapfs. If you want to learn more about these concepts, so the semantic web, here's a link to the Expert AI. You can try it. I didn't actually think it was very useful, but these things are still in development and growing very rapidly. And then the Iapfs, Interplanetary Filing System. This is a little bit more interesting. So it's about downloading software that you can use with special browsers and join to the blockchain. There's a very nice tutorial about how it works. Your file and all the blocks in it are given a unique fingerprint called a cryptographic hash. It removes duplication, so that's very useful for reducing file size. Each node only stores the content it's interested in. It keeps it very safe. So when you use your fingerprint to look up a file, you're asking the network just to find the nodes that are storing the content in that particular hash. You don't need to remember it, though. Every file has actually proper names called the Interplanetary Naming System. So this is a really, really amazing development, and it may be one of the topics that you choose for your assignment in the project. So to summarize, Web 1 was the first phase of the internet, readable phase. It was just an information source and there was very limited interaction. You could upload stuff basically, and that was it. You could take things down, but you couldn't interact with the web. Then the writable or interactive phase came in Web 2.0. There you had apps for online participation, interaction, sharing and collaboration. And a coming phase, and there are already many dApps. We'll have a look at those at the end of this topic in the 5th video. I'll show you what dApps exist now and how you're actually looking at a web page that looks exactly like an ordinary app, but in fact it's a dApp. And these are the executable phase underpinned by smart contracts. So that's it for this video. See you in the next.